We found this lawnmower online and come to find out it's riddled with a bunch of problems. And even though most of the problems just needs time to fix them, we're going to need a lot of time for this project. But not everyone is willing to put in more than a couple of hours into a single project like this one. And after working on this lawnmower, I can now understand that those consumers might be right. In today's video, we're going to be looking at this Troy-Bilt lawnmower. And this is the second part of a very long project of getting this abused mower back up and running. Now this is not how we left the mower in the last video, but I do want to show you some important information from it first. And after recording all the information that we'll need, we'll pick right back up where we left off. So just as a reminder, we had to take out the transmission to clean up all the rust on the shafts and also the engine to fix an oil leak. But if you didn't see the video of how bad that leak was and how we fixed it, a link to that video should be available. Now we didn't need to take the transmission out to clean it, but it did make it a whole lot easier to do though. While the transmission was out of the mower, I decided to give it a coat of black paint, but you don't need to do it. And once it's back onto the mower, we'll then put some multi-purpose grease on the ends where the bearing sleeves will go. Now these sleeves are what the drive axles were rusted to that was stopping the self-propel from working. We can't be certain about how this mower was stored, but chances are pretty good that it was left outside after the mower started leaking oil. So I can only guess that they didn't want to get their garage or shed dirty with oil and had intentions on trying to fix it. But as with most projects, sometimes they're forgotten about, and by the time you do remember them, it's much too late. I'm also going to add a liberal amount of grease on the end where the pin goes, but you're free to make a different choice. You'll also have to keep the drive axles from spinning so that you can tighten this bolt. We'll then apply a thinner lubricant to the axles and then put the wheels back on. Now you don't have to use what I'm using, instead you can use whatever you have available. You don't need to go out of your way for this one. Also, don't forget to install the metal clip that's supposed to help support the longer drive axle. So it's sad to say this, but the drive cable was too far gone to be saved using the ultrasonic cleaner. That just means we'll need to replace it, but luckily these are still cheap to buy. If, however, you still don't want to pay for a new cable, there are other ways to fix this for a fraction of the cost. I don't like saying the method out loud, but if you want to know about it, you're welcome to ask. Next, we'll put the resealed engine back onto the mower. So I did consider working on the carb while the engine was off the mower. However, I wanted to show you the process while it was back on the mower because that's how you're going to see it. Also, before installing the blade adapter, make sure to apply some kind of lubricant to either the shaft or the inside of the adapter. Doing this will keep it from getting stuck in the future, or at least make it a whole lot easier to take off next time. So I did sharpen and balance the blade before installing it, but you're welcome to just buy a new blade if you want to. But I do have to let you know that blades are typically not very cheap, so it might be worth trying to save the original one. So this was the gasoline that came out of the fuel tank, and I don't know if you can tell this, but that's a small amount of water at the very bottom. And if there's a small amount of water here, there could be a lot more inside the carb. Now water in the carb is obviously going to keep the engine from starting, so it's best that we get it out. So in this case, we can't be certain that the carb has a problem, but we'll still clean it when we get it out. I'm also choosing to take off the carb and the fuel tank as one assembly, and that's because I want to clean out any debris from the fuel tank. Also, make sure to check the intake pipe and see if the O-ring and its retainer might still be stuck on it. These help to seal the carb to the intake pipe and will need to be put back onto the carb. And if you don't install these two parts the right way, there could be an air leak causing the engine to surge while running. And while we're here, we might as well take out the spark plug and see how it looks. And it's a good thing we did because there's quite a lot of buildup on it. So it's up to you on how you want to clean it, or you can just buy a new one instead. Next, we'll take off the screws holding the bowl to the carb and then carefully pry it free. And after pouring out what was in the bowl onto the table, it was definitely water in it. So how does the water get in there? Well, it could be from the gas station, or it could be from a bad fuel container. Next, we'll take out the needle and float just to make sure that it's not stuck or has a problem. And if it is stuck, fuel will not flow into the bowl and the carb will not work. Now luckily, this one is not stuck, but it does have a light buildup on it, which should be pretty easy to clean up. Next, we'll take out the plastic cartridge and inspect it for any problems. So there is some buildup on one of the openings, but to clean it, we'll have to take it apart first. Now be careful doing this because it is only plastic, so there's a chance that you could break it. Once you take it apart, make sure all these tiny openings are clear, which these are. Next, we'll check and make sure that the main fuel jet is also clear and also as open as it can be. Now it does look to be that way, but just to be positive, I'll still use my cleaning wire on it. Now the reason why we had to take it apart was to keep the debris from going further into the cartridge. Otherwise, it could get stuck further in and you might not know about it until we put it back together. And once the cartridge is back into one piece, we can start to put the carb back together again. Just be careful because it's very easy to put it back together incorrectly if you're not paying attention. On a different carb, I didn't press down on one side of the pin for the float far enough down, which caused the carb to leak. So if I can do it, there's a decent chance it might happen to you as well. Now the bowl will only fit one way, so if it won't go, try turning it around. Once the screws have been installed, check that the bowl is not lopsided and that the bowl is sitting squarely to the carb. And the last thing for the carb is to install the O-ring and its retainer. If you do have to replace the O-ring, be careful that you order the right size. So here's the fuel tank after cleaning it. It had some organic matter floating in it, and that's the reason why I decided to clean it. Now, could that material have made its way into the carb? Who knows, but I'd rather not have it in there to begin with. Also, when installing the carb onto the intake pipe, try not to push it all the way in. What I like to do is let the airbox push it back as far as it wants it to. Because if you push it too far back and the airbox pulls it forward, it could unseat the O-ring, which could cause an air leak. Once you install the lever for the choke bypass, make sure that it works like I'm showing you. Then when installing the air filter base, remember to connect the breather hose to the port on the back. Otherwise, unfiltered air could make its way into the engine through that open port. So I'm going to reuse the air filter that came with this mower just for testing. However, I will replace the filter the moment we know we have a buyer for it. Some viewers have asked me why I change the filters when I do, and the answer is pretty simple. If I replace the filter and the engine still has problems, there have been times where the filter's been contaminated with gasoline or even oil, ruining a perfectly good part. So for the sake of the video, yes, it looks good to replace the air filter now, but I'd rather just put a test filter in until then. When you're adding engine oil, make sure not to put too much in, but if you're over by a small amount, it shouldn't hurt it. According to the dipstick, I'm over by about 1/4 inch, but I'm also on a table on a yard that's not level. That just means I'll have to check it again once I get to level ground. So after adding some gasoline to the fuel tank, we'll try and start it and hopefully it runs well enough to sell. It's been running for several minutes and it should be good and hot. So let's see how it starts back up. Well, I guess that's about as good as it's going to get with everything considered. Now that this project is over, I'm able to tell you the final cost and it's not good. The only part we had to buy was the self-propelled cable, which was only $11, which is understandable. But here comes the bad part, and that's the labor for all the work we had to put into this project. Now, I don't keep track of the time, but going by the raw footage, the time was 3.6 hours, which translates to almost 8 hours of real time spanning over 4 days. Now, as a hobby, that was a good project, but if you're doing this to make profit, you might want to find something else better to do with your time. So my question is, would you invest 8 precious hours of your life into a project like this one? Because that's a lot of time and you can't get that time back. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your time here. Please feel free to ask me any questions about this project or about your own projects, and I hope to see you in the next video.